Hello, you guys. Welcome back to On the Go with Gori, a podcast where I, your host, talk about anything and everything on my mind. We are currently at the edge of spring and summer. We're like almost in it for the summer. I can't wait. We're kind of like soft launching summer is what I've been calling it as of recent. We're getting a teaser. We're still in June gloom though. Depending on when you're listening to this. If my future self can edit and get this pod out sooner rather than later, we're still feeling that June gloom, which is still pretty nonetheless, but I can't wait to get into those hot summer months. I love the summer. I just love being outside and just being out in the sun, having a good time. I feel like a sunny day is the cure to anything and everything in my life. A little self plug. Follow my Instagram at OTGWG for more content, and my YouTube, which you might be listening to this pod on. I just posted a video, not just, but my last video was a vlog, a day in the life as a NASA engineering intern, and that video was so fun to film and edit. That is one side, but like internship experience itself was just so cool. So, I mean, I think that video kind of captures a sliver of the amount of fun I had and how much I learned. So, if you're interested, go check out that video. It's on YouTube, and give it a like, comment, sub, if you'd like. Okay, so today's episode I think is going to be really interesting. It's going to be about something that I'm figuring out for myself right now. But I've been working on it over the past few months, and I've been taking some notes and some observations of certain techniques or patterns that I have been using in this journey. So, without further ado, the topic of this episode is crash outs, how to avoid them. Okay, so let me give you a little bit of background of how I got here, and then we can get into it. So basically every week, or somewhat every week, I send out this prompt called Gibby's glue segment. Basically, my friends call me Gibby. So that's kind of where the name started, Gibby's glue segment. And the topics would vary heavily week by week. And so the intention is to kind of stay connected with my long distance friends, many of which are my college friends. And so I'd come up with these prompts on a weekly basis. And I was actually thinking about sharing these on Instagram because I heard that one of my friends was passing along my prompt to her group chat, and it was a great conversation starter. And I thought might as well just share it with you guys, and maybe you want to use it in your groups and, see what happens. But that's exactly what these are. These are conversation starters, and it's almost like it's just a prompt to kind of keep tabs on your friends. And the topics really are broad. They can vary from serious to like extremely super unserious. Like, for example, I think one of them was, what's a meme that described your day? Or like, what's a song that you're feeling right now? Or current snack faves, or current meal prep ideas. Or even like, it can be like super deep. Like, what are your first quarter goals? Or what are your first half of the year reflections? Or how did your week go? Or like, what is something that you're looking forward to? What's something that you're working towards? What's something that you pride yourself in? So like, it's really a great way to keep tabs on your friends without having to find an opportunity to get deep or to just check in on them. You know what I mean? Yeah, I call it Gibby's glue seg. It's seg, short for segment. And it's, yeah, like I said, like just a great way to keep the chat alive and conversations going. And it's again, just like a conversation starter. And many times the conversation would deviate into something else, but at least it was a spark to get everyone talking again. And it's great. It's a great way to keep long distance friendships alive and healthy. So one of those topics one week was, what are some things that you're working on right now that you'd want to share? And maybe like other people in the group would share their experiences that might help you. So it's more of like, it was like kind of like an advice session, and it was really great. Everyone was getting really deep. Some of the things were more mental and like career wise, and others were just like, I need to drink more water, I need to go to the gym more. And others were like, I need to get more disciplined, or I need to, I don't know. It was like ranging heavily. And so one of mine was to try not to crash out as much, or to try to moderate my crash out, which is so funny, but it's like literally so real. And it's something that I'm actually genuinely actively working on. And so I've been making like a guide, quote unquote guide for myself, like tangible things that I can do to help myself avoid crashing out. And I kind of was sharing this in the group, and I started having similar conversations with different people from different groups. And that's like so interesting, right? Like, this is not a unique experience, I'm realizing. Like, I'm sharing these experiences with different people from different groups in different walks of their life, if you will. And that in itself is so validating. Like, we're all literally going through the same thing. So anyways, I thought I'd share kind of what I'm doing, but like, I do want to note, this isn't like a how-to, even though maybe that's what the title is. It's more of like a prompt, or like a spark for you to start the self-discovery on your habits and tendencies. It's like an internal self-reflection to improve yourself for the best. So this is going to be very unique, like so unique to each person. So that's why I think I'm going to structure it more of like questions for you to ask yourself rather than what to do. Hopefully it comes off in that manner, and hopefully that made sense. But yeah, let's just get into it by starting off with what a crash out is, because I feel like some of you guys who are listening aren't Gen Zers, even though most of us are, but I feel like it's just such an overused term that the meaning has evolved naturally over time. So I just did a quick Google AI search, and what they say is crashing out is a relatively new slang term, particularly popular on social media like TikTok, that describes a sudden, uncontrolled outburst of anger or distress. It essentially means reacting to something with strong emotions without thinking about the consequences, often in a reckless or impulsive way. Okay, that was a lot. But I low-key think that's a pretty valid explanation. But like, you can have internal crash outs, you can have like like the type of crash out, the medium in which you crash out in can vary so incredibly much. They can manifest in different ways, which is the hardest part, I think, because you don't realize that you're in the thick of crashing out till after the fact. Someone count, please, how many times I say crash out. But then after the crash out, you might feel horrible or guilty, and we'll get into that a little bit more. So yeah, basically a crash out is when something, I think, doesn't go your way. It's like a sudden surge of emotions, simply put. So the first step is to capture a crash out live. Ooh, this is the hardest part. It's gotta be the hardest part, because sometimes you might just see all red, right? We've all been in that situation. We just straight up, like, something just sets us off and it's red. And just tap into something that isn't level-minded or reasonable, like the person you are, after the crash out. Just sit down and list it out. Throw it all on paper. Just a word vomit. What makes you angry? Why did that make you angry? Who makes you angry? How did you react? How did you feel after the crash out? Ooh, that's important. We'll get into that. What happened specifically that made you crash out? That's all. Right now in this step, we are not going to do any improvements. We're not going to do any changes. We're not going to do any life-changing, action items, if you will. Nothing. Let's just get a piece of paper or a voice note or anything and just throw it all down. Okay? We'll figure it out later. Just get everything out. It's going to be easier to dissect it afterwards, but it's important to use these prompts to kind of begin that self-reflection so that we can pinpoint what our triggers are, work on them later on. Like, for example, okay, maybe it's something that your parents say, or your siblings, or your significant other. Okay, there you go. You got the who, and you got the what, which is what they said. Okay, let's dig into that a little bit more. What part of what they said irked you? What did you do in retaliation? What was your crash out, essentially, right? Was it that you raised your voice and that you were vocal about it? Did you say something maybe a little bit hurtful in the spite of the moment? Did you just shut down and go nonverbal? I do that sometimes. Did you find maybe a way to rebel, right? And after the said crash out, how do you feel? Do you feel guilty? Do you feel tired, overwhelmed, drained, distracted, confused? What are you feeling? It's important to recognize our body's signals. Just capture the subtle cues that our body is sending subconsciously. What is our body doing? How are we reacting? There is something deeper that we need to figure out. So let's break it down. It could be that you're increasingly more irritated. You have a hard time concentrating or whatever. Let's just figure it out. And I literally think that is one of the most important parts. Because just realizing what you're doing, identifying it as an example of something that you want to improve on, is one of the biggest steps that you can take in improving yourself or changing something in your life. And I promise you, not many people take this. Literally no one will do this first step. But you are. This speaks volumes about you and who you are. You're putting in an effort to change something about yourself for the better. And that is the hardest step. Because once you start putting in an effort, you will 100% get to your goal. And this is not going to happen overnight, because this is something that we are literally changing habits on. We are rewiring ourselves. But nonetheless, it's a start. It's more than we were before, so don't quit on that. So the next step is to determine why you want to stop crashing out. And I know that seems pretty obvious and silly, but like straight up, identify a reason and a purpose for yourself and your efforts. Let me say that again. Identify a reason and a purpose for yourself. Okay, this is going to build up on how your crash outs make you feel, maybe. This is going to be your motive to change. And maybe it's to improve friendships or relationships or preserve your self-peace or protect your energy and to determine what is worth your time and what isn't. Along this note, it's important to have patience. Be understanding to yourself and don't go so hard. Remember that you're putting in an effort, and that's the start. Try to prioritize your rest and relaxation. Try to do things and activities that help you relax and de-stress. Take a deep breath. Hey, just pause for a second and check in with yourself. What do you really care about? What are you trying to build with your energy and time? Is this thing actually worth it? Think about how you feel after one of those crash outs. Like, really think about it. Do you want to go through that again? Is there a way to handle this that lets you protect your peace and still speak up for yourself? I don't want to just stay quiet all the time and be the quote-unquote bigger person. Like, I'm taking the high road just to prove something. And yeah, like calling myself the bigger person, maybe it's a little ego, but I want to be real about it. Because that's how I feel in the moment. In those situations that I feel like I want to speak up, but my means of speaking up may not be the most appropriate, I really just want to say something. I want to make a statement. But I need to do it in a way that doesn't blow everything up or leave me regretting it later. So I try to keep reminding myself that this isn't about controlling my reactions for other people. It's more about showing up in a way that my future self will thank me for. If your version of a crash out is snapping or saying something that you regret, for example, then it's not just about upsetting the other person. It's also about not upsetting yourself later. There's probably a way to stand your ground and still leave the situation feeling like both sides were hurt. You don't have to go quiet, and you don't have to explode either. There should be a space for something in between, and I know these are just words, but like, it's so much easier said than done, but I truly believe that it's possible. It's just something that is going to require some time and a little bit of effort. Okay, so the last part is to identify a crash out before it happens. And this is going to take practice. And it's okay if you miss it. But as long as you are, again, putting in the effort, you're going to make leaps of improvements. So back to step 1. Find out those triggers, those patterns, those specifics that really set you off. Maybe take it step by step. Maybe you can stop mid-crash out and progressively, bit by bit, ease up your reaction. Okay, so what can you do in that case? Say you catch yourself mid-crash out. Take a step back and breathe. If it's a person that triggered you, why did they react that way? What background difference sparked that? Try to consider it from their point of view. How can you change your response to cater to them while still getting your point across? To what level do you want to escalate this? Is it really worth your time? Maybe it is. Maybe it is something really important that you need to kind of end or you need to make clear. Then maybe it is. But maybe it's something small that it has the potential to escalate, but it really shouldn't. It's really not worth your energy, or it's not really worth your time. And right now, I just want to say one thing. You are meant for something bigger. Is this potential fight really worth everything? Put yourself first. Prioritize. Your needs and your well-being matter. And you should never feel guilty for setting boundaries around them. I had a situation recently with someone I care about deeply. Okay. And we kept clashing, and this has been going on for like years, where we keep on clashing and disagreeing over certain topics. And honestly, it can be the root of a lot of arguments. Or like, for example, when this topic comes up, I'm not one to stay quiet, neither is this person, and therefore it can escalate into some arguments. Eventually, I realized. So, I made it a boundary. I decided that this isn't something I'm going to keep discussing or engaging in. Not because I don't care, but really because I do. I do care. Sometimes protecting a relationship means agreeing to disagree for the sake of something bigger. And honestly, it's also important to be real about crashing out. It happens. It's a natural response to stress or overstimulation. So be gentle with yourself. Like, don't spiral into guilt. Just use it as a chance to check in. Maybe you're moving too fast, or maybe your needs aren't being met. Either way, it's chill. You can always reset. It's never that deep. Okay, guys, that's all I have for today. I did quite a bit of yapping, but these are things that I've observed, and I make a note to myself about, and I try to incorporate and focus on in my journey. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. As always, I'm so curious to hear from you guys. What do you think? Do you agree? Then yay. But if you disagree, then even more yay. Maybe we can have a discussion. I'd love to hear what you think, because more likely than not, you might open me up to a whole new world that I had not considered, which is the beauty of our diversity and perspectives, and it might change my point of view, and it might just be the key that I was looking for. I love you all so deeply. Don't stop being yourself, and as always, be the unbeatable force of nature that you know you are. I'll see you guys in the next one. Love you. Bye.